with Brooklyn Boxing Podcasts. We're on the track. I'm with Coach Shota. How's it going, man?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. You know, before we get into your journey and some of the boxing news going on today, we're on the track. Figured we got to get some sort of workout in right now, so we'll do a little walk and talk.
All right, let's go.
All right. So as the, boxing news right now, we got to touch on it. The latest thing is Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence. It's off. Oh.
Just broke my heart.
so Errol Spence, he's got the detached retina, which is a shame. Obviously, we wish him a full recovery. But your Dennis Ugas is the fill-in fight.
Yeah, I was looking forward for this fight. And I'm a huge Errol Spence fan, Pacquiao fan. Of course, Pacquiao is a legendary fighter. And now that when I heard about Ugas, because I've been following Ugas all his career, and even I've been seeing him 2005, when he won the World Championships, and he was a bronze medalist. He has a huge, tremendous career in amateur boxing and also in the professional boxing. And he's not the guy that everybody knows about, but people who know boxing know him.
Yeah.
And I'm also huge fan of his coach, Ismael Salas. He's like a Cuban school, one of the greatest coaches and trainers. And then his fundamentals, he has a school, gymnasium, and he has amazing fighters.
So what do you think about this matchup? Because he was preparing to fight on the undercard anyway, so it's not like he's coming in short notice, he's out of shape. He's going to be ready. How does this matchup play out?
Now, question is, now Pacquiao is ready. Pacquiao always comes ready, and obviously he's ready. Pacquiao is age 42. Ugas is not the spring chicken either. He's 35. So he's up there. He's maybe prime or over the prime. I would say over his prime, I would say. Because he has a lot of fights. When you have a lot of fights, you start early career. It takes a toll on your body. But when it comes to Ugas, he has a long reach. As I remember, his reach is about 69 inch, and Pacquiao's reach is 67. By the height comparison, you have Ugas is 5'9", 5'10", and Pacquiao is 5'4".
Much shorter.
So you see the huge difference between this. So Ugas is not really, he can fight inside, he can fight outside. But I'm a huge fan of both fighters. I don't want to just give you prediction, but I think it's going to be a great fight. Because if we get the old Pacquiao, the prime Pacquiao, if we see the fireworks, he does the angles. That's what you were talking about in the gym the other day with Pacquiao, is
his movements are all built on speed, right? You
said
it's all that.
Reflex,
that
speed. He's a lot of respect, a lot of speed, and then a lot of counter punching. Great timing, but he has the same patterns, there's a pendulum in and out, jumping in and out. So if you were a really wise fighter that fighting against Pacquiao, you gotta look at all the other fights he fought against Marquez, against the fights that he lost. I think he lost 6, 7, 5. I forgot how many fights he lost. But take an example from these fights. You need to really find your game. If I'm Ugas, obviously I'm gonna boxing, because my whole career is a boxer. I'm an amateur world champion. I have a tremendous career in the amateur boxing. What I will do, I will box him. And I will not let him to come close, because in Pacquiao, in the close pockets, he can land these heavy shots. And then once he gets a shot and he can connect it, and he throws a lot of punches, even in his age. So right now, the Ugas has this small gaps inside the pocket where he might have little delays, not reacting quicker, and that's the time the Pacquiao has advantage. I think I see the Pacquiao moving a lot and doing a lot of things. So if Ugas can handle to control his with the distance and try to use this advantage of his reach, then we can see the fight. But I see this very interesting fight, because Ugas has a heart. He's been there before, and people think disappointed, but don't be disappointed. This fight could be even better than Spence fight, because Spence is very intelligent. When very intelligent Asian fighters make sometimes a little bit boring because everybody's, Mayweather is too, doesn't go too much. That's Spence style too.
Yeah.
He wants to counter.
You're making me feel better about this. I was a little down. Coach has got me feeling a little more positive about this Ugas matchup. It's going to be a great fight. Everyone should still definitely tune in. Anytime Pacquiao's out there, you got to watch.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time. But let's roll back here to your boxing journey. I want to talk a little bit, I guess, about your start in Georgia, not Atlanta, Georgia. This is Georgia in Europe. And, talk to me about growing up there, getting into boxing, maybe some of the wrestling background you said with some of your friends. And I know they got a lot of Olympians right now. And, how did it all get started for you?
Well, I was 8 years old. Long story short, my father was a very tough guy. So he was a bear hunter, very tough guy. I mean, if I show you his photo right now, you see what I'm talking about. So he raised me, taking me hunting, this and that, and then I loved basketball, so I played basketball. I was so crazy about basketball. But he said, no, that's not your sport. You should be boxing. And one day he takes me to the gym. Same story to most fighters happen. I get beat up, and now I want to prove to my dad that I'm a tough guy. So that's my boxing starts. And then Soviet Union times when we had the same school, like the training school. There was so much discipline. I can't even compare anything I've seen here. Discipline was in a different punishment, jump rope punishment, like the people. We did so much in the preparation and then exhaustion of this. And then I ended up boxing, and then I was I competed in the Soviet Union Georgian Championships. I competed in the Soviet Union Championship one time, international. I mean, for us was, going out of our country, state. And wrestling, obviously, is the identity of my country. Right now, we got 8 medals in Olympics, so crazy. Wrestling is wrestling. And I was kind of tired of here, the wrestling. And then my cousin was a freestyle wrestler, Georgian champion, very tough guy, and he would take me to his room and just do workout on me, and he made me hate the wrestling. So that's the only reason.
To stand up.
Yeah, I stayed with the boxing.
And it worked out.
And boxing was just became my everything. At age 15, I won these Georgian championships, little tournaments, and then I just retired from boxing when I was 15 or 16. And then I came to the United States when I was 22, 1998. I came to the United States, and then my heart and passion was still and I joined some gym in Boston, near Boston, it's outside of Boston. And then I joined the gym, and then nighttime I would sneak out. I would do all this work, 60 hours a week, or even 80 hours a week sometimes, but I still found the little times to go in the gym, sneak out, and then do some boxing. And that's it. I competed in Golden Gloves. I did New England Golden Gloves. I won twice, different tournaments, North American Championships. And then I was doing good in boxing.
And then it led you to Fifth Street eventually, right? In Miami. So you got
Miami,
the sunshine, everybody.
Sunshine State, Miami, yeah.
And, you're working with the fighter Ermal, of course, that, we were at the Road Warriors event a few weeks ago, and he got the win there. And then recently they announced, he's fighting for the Mediterranean WBC belt, so another big step in his career. And you're working closely with him on the technique and everything. So, what are some of the tools you're trying to add to his game, or things you guys are focusing on technique-wise with Ermal?
First, I want to say thank you to Donato, Virtuous Boxing.
There you go.
Best shoes.
Italian leather shoes, comfortable, the best.
Donato is a good friend of mine, and he saw my skills, he saw what I do as a coach, and he invited me to be in the team. So that's how everything started for pro 2-3 years ago. Now, what I bring to the table to the Ermal is, remember, Ermal comes from more like MMA background, and Ermal has a little bit different style. So what I bring to the table is my experience in the amateur boxing, my experience in the Russian school, my experience in the American school, my experience in the Cuban school. So I absorbed and soaked everything, and then I like to study everything. I like studying the meticulous level. I like to absorb, and then I give all this knowledge I have, the counter punching, pull counters, with a different bringing from my background, and it blends with Ermal because Ermal is a tremendous athlete, and I think he's not just a good athlete, he has the biggest heart. When we were at the fight, I used to be nervous. This guy takes a nap. I was like, dude, you're fighting today.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's okay, coach. Let's relax. And Donato gets crazy. I'm like, let's hurry up now. So he's what I'm saying. He's just very relaxed, but he's very responsible, and he's very consistent and very disciplined. And that's all these things all together. And he has this talent also, this southpaw is a kind of very unpredictable, and he's a quick reflex, speed, and we put it all together things, and he's getting the every time he fights. You see, if you look compared to his previous fights and now, he becomes a different, better and better fighter.
Improvements,
and I've seen him like sparring the world class, world WBC champion, former champion Banana Rosario, and then he's doing so much so well. And then everybody says this, you know, guys who sparring this is gonna be a problem for everyone. And I'm predicting he's gonna go all the way top, because his dedication and because of his work ethic, his heart, his loyalty to us. He is a one team, and he's everything working for him. He's a very likable person. Everybody likes him. Everybody wants to see him. Look at him, right?
Yeah, great guy. Nice, really nice, humble. He's got the Albanian backing as well, which is going to be good for his fan base moving forward. You know, hopefully you get more people in the crowds, and this WBC Mediterranean belt coming up with Global Legion is going to be, you know, a huge moment in his career to really elevate himself. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for you guys.
Yes, me too.
It's going to be really cool. But, you know, let's talk a little bit about some of the big fights coming up other than Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence. Or, sorry about that, Manny Pacquiao and Ugas. But we got the heavyweights. It's a crazy heavyweight scene. We were talking about it in the gym a little bit the other day. Wilder, Fury, of course, and then on the other side of the bracket, it's really like a four-man tournament, right? You got Usyk and Joshua.
Usyk Joshua coming up first, I think. It's a September, I think, right? Usyk Joshua is going to be first.
I got to check on the dates on that because I kept shuffling the Wilder-Fury fight, but the Wilder-Fury fight I know is, I believe, October 6th.
So this is September.
Okay, so they're very close.
So let's go with the Joshua and the Usyk first.
Let's do it.
I think... I don't like predicting. Oh, he's gonna win. No.
Tell me about the technique side, because I know that's your forte.
The Joshua proved himself. He's a very legit, great heavyweight and a super athlete. If you look at his body, he's what, 6'7", 6'6",
6'6", 260,
no body fat, pure muscle, very athletic. Now I see he was moving there. I watch the YouTube and social media. I see his way he's moving. He has this little bit like technical part to him. Like he does a lot of. He's getting better and better, more confident, more mature in boxing. And you have the Usyk, the other hand. Usyk is 6'3". Okay. His reach is 78.
Former cruiserweight king, so he's coming up in weight.
Not just a king. Usyk has a huge background in amateur boxing, and he's a very technical. He fights like Lomachenko, but in the heavyweight division. So now we have the pros and cons. So when you are Usyk and facing Joshua is tremendous power. The Usyk not meant to be heavyweight because his body frame is not that big.
Right.
He's 218 pounds. You have Joshua is 250 pounds. And what I'm thinking here is that Joshua has advantage because of his power is going to get there somewhere because he has speed, he has technical power, and somewhere if he lands this one shot or two shot, it's going to change everything. And you know how Joshua gets after it. He sees his opportunity and he will finish you. So I hope it's going to be a great fight, I think, because Joshua is going to box from outside. Usyk's going to try to get inside from, like, he's a southpaw. He's going to maybe pivot to go inside.
How much do you think Usyk is going to take from the Chisora fight? Because the Chisora fight, you know, Derek was bullying him a little bit, using that size. Is Usyk, you think, going to take a lot from that and learn a lot from that? Or is that just kind of how it is for him now? He's a smaller guy in the division and he's got to figure it out.
Don't you think he was exposed during this
It was
fight?
very concerning for me to see him against Chisora. I said, how is he going to beat Joshua if Chisora is doing it?
That's the same question everybody has. But high IQ
No disrespect to
fighters.
Chisora. I mean, he was
High IQ fighters, but Chisora fought one of the best fights I've seen. But high IQ fighters like Usyk, they always the best, like Mayweather. They are so good adjusting and make the adjustments. I think Usyk probably looked at himself and then made a lot of adjustments based on this. And he knows who he's fighting. So he needs to he has a game plan. He's going to get closer. He's going to keep touching. You're not going to have the Joshua just jab you from outside, stay in the back foot. The other hand, Joshua's going to go around, stay the back foot, and try to land that right hand. And if he's inside, he comes inside, Joshua has this tremendous power. So I don't know how this fight's going to go because I think more advantage, all the physical advantage, kind of overall advantage is the Joshua. I'm sure he's a favor, but the Usyk, he will surprise you. He's a sneaky fighter. He connects his shots, and
nearly a perfect performance he has to give, right?
Yeah, I think he's gonna come ready. I think it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that fight.
It's great. That's a great side of the 4-man bracket. We got Wilder and Fury, the trilogy coming up. Technically speaking, what can Deontay Wilder do after getting walked down like that in the second fight? Are there adjustments that he can make for this third fight, or?
I think he already made an adjustment. His trainer is Malik. Malik Scott is
former guest of mine. Shout out.
Yeah, I love
Great
Malik.
guy.
I always follow Malik, and he's an odd guy, right? He does certain things. He's a very intelligent guy, and very real, and I'm sure, plus he's tall, and I'm sure he gives him that exactly what he needs to go against the Fury. And we never want to take away from Wilder's power. And now he looks a little bit better. He looks more determined. He's hungrier. And I feel like last time it was a miracle when first fight, when Fury got up from this. Yeah. Fury's gonna box, Fury's gonna dominate maybe, but that one punch, remember the Ortiz fight, Luis Ortiz?
Yeah,
Luis Ortiz dominated him, was losing fight against Ortiz, but that one little gap, you slipping in 1 second, is he gonna recover again? I'm sure we're gonna see there's some knockdowns. It's not gonna be he's going back, he's gonna be backing up, but we're gonna see some firework. I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight. More entertaining Usyk, because Usyk's going to be very careful. He's slick, but I think it's going to be more entertaining to see. I can't wait to
I can't wait either.
But the Wilder's going to be definitely different because of the Malik Scott, and I like Malik, what he's doing with him. I'm just observing from the
I'm glad you said that, because when I asked you, if Malik or if Deontay could make improvements, it was kind of, I just wanted to see what your opinion was, but my opinion is, just like you said, he's gotten a lot better. Yeah. I think Malik is doing a great job with him, and like you said, a crazy mind for the sport. Mm-hmm. And tell me if I'm wrong here from a technical side, what I've just noticed as a fan, it seems like his base, it looks better to me in terms of moving
He was
backwards.
More wider before, a little bit wider now.
He's more balanced.
He's more balanced. He's doing a better footwork.
Because that's what Fury took advantage of, right? Pushing him back. And Wilder had trouble fighting going backwards. But it seems now his base, his feet under him.
Yeah, what he did, he took his jab and cross away and then distance away, and then he's just like disarmed him. Yeah. And he was just totally first time put him that place. And I don't know, he blamed other things too, but when you're fighting, like there's times that I fought and I had a little bit of fever. You don't know what fighter not gonna be 100 and something % all the time. There's too many things going on, too much pressure, too much things going on. So obviously that day was not him 100%. If we see him 100%, now only thing I'm afraid of is that when you lose that way, it makes a psychological damage. So the fighters, what we do is we want to have a tune-up fight before we go to a game to challenge the big guys. So because putting this in the head, but I believe that Wilder has a very tough mental state and very tough person, and I think he's going to overcome this. But we're going to see in the fight, because how he's going to be giving him too much respect. If he cannot give him too much respect, because he's going to walk you down. He can be walked down. You're tall. You need to have the jab going, and then he's to see the opportunities for the right hand because he's a tremendous power puncher.
Yeah, a lot of questions to be answered in that fight. I'm super excited. I mean, the boxing world is raving over this fight. It's one of the biggest heavyweight matchups in many years. The trilogies don't come around too often.
We need it now.
Yeah, so this is a treat for boxing. Before we close out here, I wanted to kind of wrap up with, your favorite fighter that you've talked about a little bit, at least from a technical standpoint. You said Mayweather.
Of course.
And
I can't go around Mayweather.
Listening to you talk about why he's your favorite fighter, the technical aspect, the IQ, and this was the other day in the gym, you were talking about what Mayweather brings to the table. Tell the people listening a little bit about that IQ, that mental, strength that Mayweather has in the ring, and that translates to his physical abilities.
Just to start, if you ask any boxing coach that has any boxing experience or intelligence into the boxing, not just the boxing, everybody will tell you about Mayweather. Everybody is super impressed and then understands that what it takes to be that level fighter, and they appreciate that. But there is a people who talk negatively and he's not engaging too much, he's not doing too much. But Mayweather is so brilliant. It's a mixture of everything together. He can be offensive, he can be defensive. He's a multi-dimensional fighter. He is full of tricks. He makes everybody name the one fight when he was challenged. And people who tell he was challenged against this, against that, it's not really. If you look at his clean shots and scorecards, I don't believe that. But I think he was on his prime, even a few years ago. He's the greatest fighter because he can fight defensively, he can fight offensively. He has a certain style, and then it's hard to get into it. And he would adjust it when he got rocked by Mosley.
Yeah,
he comes back, he readjusts from that, being he almost went down. But he makes everything look so easy. Pacquiao, Marquez, Arturo Gatti, whatever, name the every
It
fight.
takes a lot of humbleness, right? Which is kind of funny to say because he's so flamboyant, flashy outside of the ring. But I think Barry Robinson, shout out him on Instagram, kind of touches on this as well. His ability to change styles and accept when he can't stand and bang, or he has to change his outlook on the fight, requires a lot of humbleness on his side to change styles.
I think so. People always see this, the flashy things on the social media, whatever, but he's humble. Why he's humble? Because where he prepares for a fight, where he's still today, he trains just, he's getting ready for a fight. He trains. He always had this discipline ethic that in the next level since he was a little kid. And that makes him different. He backs it up whatever he says. He's the greatest. He's the greatest. He beat everybody who was in, he's the top. In my opinion, he's the greatest all time. It's a great old time.
Well, there it is.
And I've been doing a film study all the time.
Yeah.
And shout out to Barry Robinson. He's one of the best mastermind boxing coaches, and I always follow him. And,
I've been following him on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Boxing, he's a really, really smart guy.
Yeah,
and,
he is amazing.
I love he always talks about Mayweather too. He always do film study. So I do my own film study on Mayweather.
All right, guys, this was a great episode, Coach. Thanks for the time. It's always good to hear about your technical mindset around some of these matchups. Can't wait for you to come back on for some future matchups. Love your breakdown. So if you want to give the people where they can follow you on Instagram.
Follow me on Boxing Shota. I do a lot of my trainings there. And Boxing Shota. My name is Shota. So we go to Boxing Shota at Instagram. You're gonna find me there. My stories are gonna be there, and different gyms.
Yeah, swing by the 5th Street Gym.
And maybe you can find me here. Now I'm gonna do 20 miles run.
There you go. That's that discipline you was talking about earlier. It never stops. But thanks, guys. Make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe at the Pod Matrix, follow on Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. We're out.
Peace. All right, I'm gonna go run.